What's happening, YouTube? Owen here from Dark Entertainment, the place to hear tales from Wales and afar. If you're into creepy stories donated to us by people like yourselves, then feel free to like and subscribe. Anyway, let's get into the video. Episode 8. The Captain's Wife, Sully. Sully is a small area on the South Wales coastline. Its history is very interesting. Not only does it hold significant interest for historians and fossil hunters due to the high level of prehistoric fossils, but it also has a vivid, more recent history. Much of the Welsh coastline has an abundance of fascinating historical areas. The area of Lavernock still holds the remnants of gun and bunker emplacements from the coastal defences in World War II, to the mysterious sunken medieval town of Kemfig that we covered in episode 7. Just off the coast lies Sully Island, a small body of land that is only accessible from the water or at low tide. It is home to a whole host of wildlife and is a haven for nature lovers. It also has an interesting history. During the 1300s, an infamous pirate called Alfredo de Marisco, also known as the Nighthawk, used the island as a hideout when raiding supply vessels. It also contains the remnants of a Viking-era hill fort and the remains of several ships and cargo vessels from the 18th and 19th centuries. At low tide, the skeletal bones of the ship's hulls can be seen protruding out of the sand. The actual pub that now stands overlooking Sully Island was originally a series of fishing cottages that were knocked through to form a pub in 1977. A building used to stand where the cottages were, known as Sully House, which is where the story of the Captain's Wife originates. As for the story of the Captain's Wife itself, there are several variants of the tale. One version from the 19th century states that Captain Rees and his wife lived at the house, but his wife had fallen for another captain by the name of Winstanley. One night, Captain Rees caught his wife and Winstanley during a rendezvous at the beach. Rees flew into a rage and fought with Winstanley. The fight did not, however, last long. Rees was stabbed and left to die on the beach, whilst watching the lovers run towards the waiting rowing boat and out towards the ship. Rees passed on the beach, and the pair sailed away. The couple did not, however, live happily ever after. A mutiny erupted on the ship at the presence of the woman. Both Winstanley and his young lady were set upon by the sailors, dragged from the ship, and burned alive on an isolated, uncharted island. This is remarkably similar to a story told during the 16th century. In the earlier story, Rees's wife had fallen in love with an unknown sailor. Once again, Rees discovered a secret signal set up by his wife to alert the sailor. He confronted the sailor on the beach and challenged him to a duel. Depending on the age of the story, which is unknown, the duel would either have been fought with either a fencing sword or later wheel-lock pistols. Either way, the unknown sailor won the duel. And as with the later story, he and Rees's wife escaped to a ship where they planned to run away together. Unlike the later version, though, there was no violent death to the pair. She unfortunately fell from the ship and drowned in turbulent waters. Although both stories are very similar, I never understood why it was the ghost of Captain Rees's wife that haunted the pub, and not Captain Rees. An altogether different story was told to me by the staff at the pub, and in my personal opinion, is much more credible. Captain Rees was at sea with his wife when she unfortunately fell ill. She never made it home. She passed away whilst on the ship. During maritime sailing, If a member of the crew were to pass away, the most dignified and above all hygienic method of burial would have been to be buried at sea. To keep the corpse on board would not only have been hazardous to the other crew members, but would also have been considered bad luck by the superstitious sailors. In a haze of grief, Rees could not bear to part with his wife's body. He maintained that his wife had fallen ill with a fever and had to remain in his cabin for the duration of the trip. Once back on shore, he smuggled her decaying corpse back to the pub, where he swiftly stored her body in a cubbyhole above the chimney. He then declared that his wife had run away after returning to shore. As a side note, during renovation work that was conducted on the pub, human remains of unknown origins were found in a small cavity above the fireplace. Several ghostly apparitions are said to haunt the pub, from windswept sailors in the bar to ghostly women travelling through walls, and a transparent ghostly child playing by the chimney and crying in upstairs rooms. But what of the current staff? What experiences have they encountered? While having a meal at the pub, my partner and I actually witnessed a strange experience. While we were eating, I happened to look up in time to see a glass fall from the table behind my partner. All three occupants sat at the table were sitting with confused looks on their faces at the point where the glass had been. The bar staff saw the glass fall and proceeded to get towels to clean the spillage. As the barmaid approached the table, one of the customers complained that none of them had touched the glass and had been eating their meals. The bar staff assured them that they had seen the glass move off the table of its own accord. I also heard the barmaid say that these things happen all the time. By now, my curiosity had got the better of me, and I lurked over towards the bar. Staff informed me that glasses fly off the table all the time. She said that this is a common occurrence within the pub. They even say that when these things happen, they expect there to be a wet surface, allowing the friction to carry the glass off the table. But whenever they go there, there's no wet surface, meaning that these things are happening at their own accord. They stated that glasses are not the only thing that has happened, and by no means the smallest. One staff told me that whilst on duty, several of them witnessed a heavy fire extinguisher lift off the hook it was hanging on at the end of the bar and drop onto the floor, startling them all. Could it be the vengeful spirit of the captain's wife still residing at the pub, unable to pass on? I leave it for you to decide. Feel free to visit the captain's wife in the link below. Well, that's all from us at Dark Entertainment. We hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, then please feel free to subscribe for more episodes. Do it. We need it. Help us. Also, we are now on Twitter, and we hope to be on Facebook soon, if I even get my backside in gear. Ta-ta!